And we're live today, everybody. What's going on? I wanted to come on and stream a little bit, talk about day one, and have a little bit of a day two watch party here with the NFL draft getting rounds 2 and 3 underway soon. You know, I like to hang out and just kind of kick back for round one. That's one of my favorite, like 3 to 4 hours of sports content all year. But for rounds 2 and 3, I don't mind coming live here and talking about how the draft unfolds a little bit. I don't expect to stream for like the entirety of day 2, but I like to get through the second round at least, because I think that my favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings, with 4 third-round picks, 4 fourth-round picks, could be looking at a move up, and I'm expecting them to make some noise tonight. So what's good, everybody? Glad to see everybody here again. A lot of familiar names, as always. When am I starting my MLB franchise? So the hope is to be doing that this coming week with the drafts getting out of the way and everything. I can put more attention to starting a brand new series. Pretty sure I know who the team is going to be. I'm excited to get it underway and to be playing MLB The Show again. It's been a while and I've been really missing the game a lot. So I wanted to talk a little bit about round 1, how it unfolded, how my mock draft went, which was absolutely terrible. I think like 80 people joined the Predict the Pick group and I finished like 68th. So I had one of the worst mock drafts because I'm stubborn and I didn't stick with like the Trey Lance talk at 3, and I didn't give Najee Harris to the Steelers. A couple picks I just kind of tried to go big brain a little bit too much, and sometimes the simplest answer is the best one when it comes to the mock drafts. But yeah, a lot to talk about after round 1. The big story, of course, Chicago trading up to 11 to go and get Justin Fields. When his slide began, I really wanted the Vikings to try to make a move. I'm not a huge Kirk Cousins guy, especially at his salary. You cut it in half, and there's more of a conversation, I think, to have there. But mid-tier quarterbacks at, Lamborghini prices, it's just not... It doesn't work. And we got to stop pretending it does. Rodgers to the Vikings win. I don't think he'll ever play for the Vikings. I don't think so. And yeah, maybe we'll see something unfold with Rodgers. That's such a strange scenario. Like, we've heard a little bit about him being unhappy and whatnot. But, I mean, they had a lot of success last year. A game away from the Super Bowl, MVP season. And things are still getting worse from a relationship standpoint. So it seems like this is coming to an end with Rodgers in Green Bay. And I'm just heartbroken about that as a Minnesota Vikings fan. I mean, 2 decades of Hall of Fame quarterback play for Green Bay fans, that's not enough. You need at least another 5 years of Rodgers. That's just not fair. So yeah, maybe he'll be a Bronco by the end of the weekend or something. But, Justin Fields now in Chicago. He already becomes arguably their greatest quarterback in history. I mean, if you look at the 100-year history of the Chicago Bears, the quarterbacks are abysmal. Fields has a chance to legitimately be the best quarterback in Bears history, and it wouldn't even take a year to cement himself above Jay Cutler and Jim McMahon and all these other guys. Like, whatever. The Bears get Fields, not happy about it. Great move for them. I do like Justin Fields a lot. I do think, it's a little bit weird that so many teams passed on him that could have considered quarterback, like Carolina, Denver, San Francisco. New England didn't trade up, but Chicago did. And it significantly increases their ceiling over the next few years. Gives them a chance to build around a young quarterback with a great skill set and that all-important rookie wage scale contract. So, with that being said, outside of Justin Fields, the quarterbacks kind of went to places we thought they would. Trey Lance goes 3. The talk was always Lance or Jones there. Mac Jones goes to the Patriots. And I'm not sure what to make of that exactly. I guess it wasn't too surprising. We knew it was a possibility. Can he beat out Cam? We'll see. But I'm guessing that there's a good chance we still see like Cam and Dalton start the seasons for their teams. But we'll see, you know, if we get... the Bears have a couple good quarterbacks, but over the course of their history, you have to go back so far just to even talk about like decent quarterbacks for the Bears and how long they've been trying to find just you know, top 15 starters for their team history. It's a team that's been around forever, and you'd almost think they'd have to stumble into a few more good quarterbacks just by sheer luck. So yeah, it'll take a, you know, he's not quite the number one quarterback in team history, Justin Fields, but he ain't far away. I would have pretty high hopes for Fields in Chicago. So we got a few super chats here coming in. Thank you everybody for sending those. Fields is overhyped. Yeah, there are some differing opinions on Fields. Like, to me, he was, you know, either a quarterback 2 or 3. I'd probably take him over Lance. I think there's still a lot more projection with Lance, and I think his ceiling is probably higher. But, you know, just weighing, like, his level of competition, the very small amount that he played even in college with, like, 300 and some pass attempts in his entire college career. And then, you know, there's a lot that Fields has done in recent years against the top teams in college football that's been so impressive. He's shown the toughness and high-level play I think it takes to be a great quarterback. So I think that Fields is the safer pick with a comparable ceiling. Maybe the ceiling is higher for Lance, but there has to be more risk just considering the lack. There's less information. There's less on tape. There's less competition that he faced, and it's over a year ago that he last played. But if there's anywhere for him to succeed, I mean, you talk about Kingsbury going and getting Kyler Murray. I think this is a similar situation. It's a great offense for Lance to succeed with Kyle Shanahan, with the playmakers they already have as well. It's a great spot to start your career with a team that's not in full rebuild mode. My good friend Quinn Mainers is going to get drafted tonight. Played ball with him for 8 years on the O-line. Hope he doesn't go to the Vikes, though. Yeah, he's Wisconsin Whitewater, right? Division III powerhouse. I know over the years it's basically been like them and Mount Union going for all these titles. Mount Union produced Pierre Garcon. How am I watching tonight? I have it on my other monitor, muted. And I'll just see the picks as they come up pretty much. Kane, did you want Justin Fields to the Vikings? I did. I really did. I never really thought it was going to happen. I never felt like, oh, this is a possibility. Well, I knew it was possible. But the way I look at it, Spielman and Zimmer, they've done it their way the entire time. They've stuck with, you know, Cousins, and if they're gonna go down with the ship if this all fails. So they're all in on Cousins and trying to win now and finding immediate contributors like Christian Darrisaw and being aggressive in free agency for Dalvin Tomlinson and Patrick Peterson. They want to go to the playoffs this year. They want contract extensions, and you know, if Cousins doesn't work out, they're probably not going to be attached to the next quarterback. So I'm wondering if they even take a quarterback today or tomorrow. I think they have to, like, you know, Kellen Mond, Jamie Newman, Kyle Trask, somebody to back up Cousins and not only upgrade over Sean Mannion as a backup, but to be paid less because they're broke. What do I think about Tony? Kadarius Toney. Now, I don't have a lot to talk about with Avery Prospect. I don't break it down as much as a lot of people do. I always get to the draft, it sneaks up on me, and I start checking out some prospects, and I'm like, wow, I wish I was doing this 3 months ago when I could have been, but wasn't. But I've seen a little bit of Kadarius Toney, and I was excited to see where he'd go, because he's a really versatile playmaker. Good run after the catch skills. I think you can line him up in the backfield, and you can run screens, streaks. There's so much you can do with a guy like him. So hopefully, you know, in New York, they have a plan. I'm actually surprised they went with him, just because I felt like with how they've handled the skill positions throughout Dave Gettleman's time in New York, to go and spend all the money on Galladay and a first-round pick on a receiver just felt very out of character for the way they've tried building the team. But I mean, their job security there, or Gettleman's at least, is directly attached to the success of Daniel Jones. So it's like, here's all the linemen. You get Nate Solder back. You got Galladay now. You got Kadarius Toney. And, you know, Slayton Shepard can play. So it's kind of the no excuses situation coming up for Daniel Jones in the critical, what is it, year 3 for him now? And exactly, like, with how much Gettleman loves his trench players, I thought they would be going offensive line with how strong this class is there. But I think, to Gettleman's credit, he's identified some pretty good skill players over the years. When you look at who he brought into Carolina, I mean, he drafted Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel. All 3 guys are studs. And I see Toney as kind of the Curtis Samuel type of pick. And Gettleman actually traded down. So Gettleman's evolving here as a GM. You got to watch out for Big Dave over there in New York. Gettleman really isn't a bad drafter. I think that, you know, the Daniel Jones pick wasn't that good, but I think at a lot of other positions, like, I think he evaluates them really well. You know, there's other picks in Carolina that I thought were really solid, like Dante Jackson and Shaq Thompson. And I believe he also drafted Brian Burns before his time was done. I could be wrong there because he got fired during a summer after a draft, so the timeline's a little hazy there for me. Like Tay Crowder? You mean Mr. Irrelevant? Anytime you get production out of Mr. Irrelevant, I mean, you nailed it. He didn't draft Burns. Yeah, I thought that might be the year after. Could not remember the timeline exactly. But he drafted some other good defensive linemen there years before. And thank you for becoming a member, Austin. Appreciate that very much. Member 132 right now. Thank you. Thank you for that support. Thoughts on Jets moving up and getting Elijah Vera Tucker? So that caught me off guard. Not so much the Vikings moving back, but that they would trade up for him. I think offensive line help makes a lot of sense. So I see the logic behind it. But with the way the offensive line board fell, you had Elijah Vera Tucker going there, and then like no linemen until the Vikings got Darisaw after they traded down. So it really makes you wonder if they could have stayed and gotten him. But you know, after how they handled the Darnold tenure, them being maybe over aggressive for a lineman is hardly their biggest mistake. So, you know, if he's just a plug and play starter, maybe overlook the trade value they gave up. But looks like that'll benefit both teams. And Minnesota is now one of the most interesting teams the rest of the draft. 4 thirds, 4 fourths, and they're most assuredly moving up sometime in the second round. Oh yeah, Alex Leatherwood did go at 17. But that would have been the only offensive lineman between Vera Tucker and Darisaw. And that was another surprising pick. I mean, you got a weird dynamic there, I think, with the Raiders. Like, the way they've drafted, the free agent moves, and how many times they've hit the undo button on signings. And the moves they've already made in the Mayock Gruden tenure. I don't feel like this is Mayock's show as much as it is Gruden's show. He's the one with the $100 million contract, keep in mind. I watched Mayock for years break down prospects on TV. He never ranked guys like first that would be, you know, like, I felt like he was kind of on par with NFL evaluators, and his value ended up kind of matching the draft, and there wasn't anything that's all that weird. Like, the one I remember that maybe was the most different from other evaluators was when Alvin Kamara was his #1 running back the year he came out. But, you know, you can pretty much guarantee they're going to take a guy projected a 20 to 30 picks later from a big-name school. It's kind of how they do it. Last year was Garyon Conley. We've seen it with Cleveland Ferrell from Clemson. Now we see it with Alex Leatherwood. And sometimes it's worked out for them. I mean, the Colton Miller pick has worked. That took a little time, but it's paying off. So, we'll see. But they're not the team that's trying to optimize the draft value game. What about Ian Book for the Vikings and maybe the 7th? I wouldn't be as excited about Book as some of the others. But, I mean, a drafted quarterback for me would just be fine. I would hope it'd be with like one of those 4th round picks. Maybe move up into the 3rd round and make it happen. Because I think they're going to take their 3s and move up into the 2nd. Their picks are going to be shuffled around, I think, a ton. Because they still need a starting edge rusher. They still have to look at, I think, safety. I don't think that aging Harrison Smith and then signing Xavier Woods is like a plan that you're done with. And then a receiver makes sense, backup quarterback. So Minnesota's an interesting team here because they could still be drafting a couple players that end up being starters potentially by week 1. Thoughts on the Lions pick? I personally wanted Devontae Smith, but it's okay. You know, the Lions have a lot of building to do, and to me, you know, a pick like Penei Sewell, that's building the foundation. So I totally get it. Get the offensive line solid. There's more receivers you can take later. And, you know, arguably one of the 3 or 4 best players in the draft fell to them. They didn't have to move up. And they're a team that's going to be picking high likely next year, too. So to get a foundational piece like Sewell makes complete sense. So really solid pick, I think, for the Lions. I don't think a playmaker makes as much of a difference for them in that spot, and they're still going to have more chances to add some. What up, Kane? Hope all is well. We had a blackout during the draft at pick 14. Are all your blue shirts dirty because I like the orange? No, I just like this one. This one is red. It's nice and comfy, so we're going red today. I can't wear blue every day. Well, I could. Appreciate the super chats. I'm a fan of the Rashawn Slater pick for the Chargers. Definitely. Top to bottom, an offensive line remodel for the LA Chargers. Oh, I wish Kirk Cousins got that treatment. I mean, they went and got Corey Linsley, Matt Filer. They draft Rashawn Slater at 13. The offensive line there is actually going to become a strength of the Chargers. And now I'm wondering if they go and add a playmaker, because they could use another one. A younger playmaker alongside Williams and Keenan Allen. So I love what the Chargers are building. I think they're doing a really good job. Everybody beat me in the mock draft. I was terrible. You kidding me? I lost, 31-0 was basically the equivalent to my mock draft. What do I think the Dolphins should do in the 2nd round? Appreciate the super chat there, Colton. Let me pull up a draft tracker and stuff here. But Miami started out, Jalen Waddle. I don't think that's who they thought they'd get at 6. I'd have to think they were banking on either Chase or Pitts. Honestly, it's a little weird for me with them getting Waddle and already having Will Fuller. You can almost guarantee that one of those guys is doing next to nothing production-wise this year because they're both good at kind of the same thing, and I don't think that thing is going to be one of the best things that Miami's offense is going to do this year. I don't think their downfield passing game is going to be dynamic, so will that change with Fuller and Waddle? Will Tua take a step this year and be able to take advantage of those playmakers? Because if I'm Will Fuller, I'm regretting signing that contract already, I think. I would like to see, I think next year he's going to hit the market again and be a value if it could all tank. If he ends up with a 450-yard season. You think Howie Roseman finally made the right pick? Oh, I love the Devontae Smith pick for them. I had them in my mock moving up for him at a different spot. So, you go wide receiver, first round, 2 years in a row, but I think it was a necessity, especially if you want to see Jalen Hurts, be the right guy there. But back to the previous question about Miami's plan today after taking Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips. I think it's safe to say they're probably done with the playmaking situation. I do wonder if offensive line is on their radar. I think they could probably afford to find another player there. I read the other day they're moving Robert Hunt to guard, so perhaps an opening is there at tackle, and there are more good tackles in this deep tackle class. And then probably somebody, I would think, more in the front seven. I don't think you're done after adding Jalen Phillips. So I'd say front seven offensive line is probably coming up next for them. JC Horn to Carolina instead of taking a lineman to protect Darnold surprised me a little bit. They're probably going to come back in the second round. They pick towards the top, so they're going to have a chance at one of these other tackles that fell. And, I think it's all about the combination there. Do you feel better about round one corner, round two tackle, or round one tackle, round two corner? And I think that they needed another high-quality starter. Who knows if they can keep around... Well, I think actually, is Dante Jackson under contract? I forget his situation. Regardless, they had a need there. Trying to remember the timetables for all these guys getting deals, and it looks like he's a free agent to be next season. So, got to plan ahead there. You can still get a starting tackle. As a Bears fan, Fields was the dream pick. Any thoughts on your next franchise team? No, too early. I got a few months before that really matters. We'll figure it out. This is the day that could influence me one way or another, though, depending on some interesting players I could start out with. Thoughts on Mac Jones? I think he's all right. I mean, I just don't see the ceiling that excites you. Like, he might end up being a solid starting quarterback, but what do you think about his potential to be more of a top 10 quarterback? And for me, it's like, I just don't see the excitement with him. So I thought that he could potentially slide even further in the draft, but I think he's going to a good spot at least. And, perhaps he's the quarterback. If Belichick decides to retire, maybe he's the quarterback. He hands off to Josh McDaniels, who takes over as the new head coach. Who knows? But I'm not really excited about Mac Jones, and I think there's a reason he was the 5th quarterback taken. Thoughts on Parsons to Dallas? It surprised me a little bit. I wonder if they have any concerns about Leighton Vander Esch, because teams don't normally invest heavily in 3 linebackers these days, not 4-3 teams. So very curious about how they use him right away. Maybe it's in a more unique role than you first expect. So It's definitely a Cowboys pick. That's totally a Dallas pick. So excited to see what they do with all those linebackers at the same time. We got round 2 kicking off here pretty soon too, so pretty excited to see who comes off the board first. I'll be reacting to that live. What round 1 quarterback do you think was drafted into the best position to succeed? Oh, it's easily Trey Lance, because he has a team around him. Like, the team isn't going to be massively changing by the time he is the full-time starting quarterback. He's going to grow into that offense that's already established. They have a lot of great pieces on defense. So, I mean, he's not going to be one of those quarterbacks that steps into a bad organization, a bad coaching situation with little help around him. He's getting off to a really a head start compared to most rookie quarterbacks. Hey, Kane missed the Texans episode today. Any idea when it'll be up? It's processing right now. I got it edited down on YouTube, but for some reason it's taking a while. I tried to do it last night so it would be done earlier, and it wasn't cooperating. So I wasn't able to edit it down until today, and now it needs probably till tomorrow. Takes a while for some reason, so it'll be up as soon as possible. I'm ready for it to be posted. And also, after I'm done streaming today, I'm not going to stream all of day 2. Once I'm done, Broncos video's done being uploaded. So it's already ready to go. Once I'm done, it'll be live. And then thoughts on the Giants picking Tony. It surprised me they took a receiver, but I think they got a really good player. A player that's going to be dynamic, versatile. You can use him in so many different ways. Run after the catch, gadget plays. You can hit big plays with him downfield. So I like Tony a lot. I think that in due time, Giants fans will enjoy that if they don't already. Which of the newly hired coaches has your favorite offseason so far? I gotta say Urban Meyer, just getting Trevor Lawrence, and I was really excited about them getting Travis Etienne, because when I thought about Urban Meyer and some of the teams we've seen over the years, you look at the Jaguars roster and it's like, they don't have the running back that he's going to feature. So I knew they were going to do something. I thought Etienne at 25 was fun. You watched my terrible mock draft yesterday. I say, I want them to go Etienne, but I don't think they do. And then they did it. They got a home run hitter out of the backfield, and I seriously think that he could end up being like the next Dalvin Cook. I think Cook has more power in his game, but I think as far as the explosiveness and home run hitting ability, Etienne has that, and he's a better receiver. So very excited to see what Jacksonville can do. Trevor Lawrence obviously changes the game for you. Urban Meyer, just excited to see what he does in the NFL. But that's the situation I'm really excited about. Kane, love your streams, man. I'm an ATL fan and I wanted Trey Lance, but Pitts is cool too. What's your prediction on ATL's second round selection? Atlanta's in an interesting spot because to me, they're a team that should be trying to think about the next era, just considering how many players on their team, how many key players have massive contracts and are getting older. So I really think a quarterback today makes a lot of sense, but I think they also want to squeeze another playoff run out of Julio and Ryan. And if they're to do that, I think they got to go defense and go get somebody who can make a big impact. Whether it's edge rusher, whether it's corner, I think they've got to do something on defense, because now you got enough going with you for you on offense, adding Kyle Pitts. Why was there no stream yesterday? There was on the second channel. I didn't stream during the draft, like I never have before. This is new for me. I just think on day 2 it'd be fun to talk about the draft live with everybody, react to some picks, and answer some questions the best I can. I think the plan is for ETN to play the Curtis Samuel, Percy Harvin role in Urban's offense. By the way, you wearing your blue Swim trunks today? No, we go with the black shorts today. So, and those aren't swim trunks. Those are athletic shorts. Those are Nike athletic shorts. There is no swimming liner in them. You do not take them to the ocean or the pool. I have swim trunks. I'll wear them on stream another time. Every now and then, I'm like, I'm skipping the shorts today. We're going swim trunks. It's 100 out. So. Trask, where's he going? I think it's hard to predict who takes the backup quarterback on day 2 because so many teams make sense. ATL, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, but it could be anywhere. I have no feeling one way or another. Why get Travis when they got Robinson? Well, for one, I think that they're going to want a more explosive speed back, and you'll see that big playability out of ETN. But also, like, it's never a bad idea to split a guy's workload. Like, who are the guys you want to give all the carries to? McCaffrey, Barkley, Dalvin Cook, guys like that. Is James Robinson one of them? He's a really solid, dependable back, but the big play upside does not match those other guys. You can still give Robinson 10 to 15 touches a game. Your value out of James Robinson can be easily had in a reduced role. I mean, he had one of the most concentrated workloads last year. He basically had the entire pie out of one of the teams that ran the ball the least a year ago. His market share was just dominant. He controlled it. That's not ideal, though, especially for a team trying to, you know, be much more dynamic on offense. So if you're a James Robinson guy, I think you're still going to see a lot of him. He's a really good player. And the thing I like about Robinson is you never need to take him off the field. He's not like super limited or anything. He can catch the ball, he can run in the red zone, short yardage, first down, whatever. It's good to have two guys. Who do I want Minnesota to draft at quarterback? So I think I would be most interested in Kyle Trask today, or actually Kellen Mond. Probably Mond, Trask, Newman is how I would rank it. It might be too much investment at running back, but they have a lot of picks. I think they can afford to go premium at running back. And if it wasn't DTN, I don't know who plays that style that they are going to add later on, like him. And the thing is, too, I mean, taking a running back in the 20s is different than in the teens or the top 10. Classic Kane wanting more running backs on the team. I mean, you know I got to stay on brand. By the way, I have no idea what to have on in the background here because it's not like a gameplay heavy stream. I don't have like an interesting background or anything. So I thought about like just putting something on in the background, like an MLB The Show like demo or something. So I'll just like let you guys kind of call the shots there. I'm just in the Texans franchise now. But that's not the core of today's action. How was the brisket? Kind of dried it out, to be honest. It looked like Lincoln Riley's in that one picture a couple months back. So I'll do better next time. It's still good. The flavor's great, but I kind of took the moisture out of it. I got some like that was already prepared that like you just kind of heat up. And I'm like, oh, burnt ends. What's a little extra time on something that's already burnt? I want to heat it up. And I left it in the cast iron a bit too long, but don't worry, I bought multiple packages so I can run it back and do better next time. And then if I get hungry, I got a little Whataburger in the fridge right now. I got that for lunch today, and didn't have the appetite to finish it. Trying to be a little more disciplined there. You don't gotta eat the whole thing at once. Do a CPU game on Madden. I could fire that up just for something in the background. Put a Madden draft on. That's a cool idea. I could just jump into something and have the draft play out. Get to like the second round. That'd be actually kind of fun. Brisket, Whataburger. All you're missing now is a Stetson cane. I'm embracing my new home in Texas. Not necessarily new. I've been here for a year and a half. Somehow it's already been that long. Shouldn't have left you to cook it. You were streaming. I had plenty of time. I was just like, you know, I was trying to heat it up. So I ended up drying it out, and then I left it in the hot pan for a while. So you win some, you lose some. What draft coverage are you watching? So I always watch NFL Network. Like, I love Rich Eisen, Daniel Jeremiah, them guys. So I always watch NFL coverage. Last super chat for me, but how do you still look the same after all of these years on YouTube? Also, what's your go-to order at McDonald's? Appreciate the super chat. I don't know. I think I think I look younger than I am. Can't tell you. My go-to order at McDonald's, though. If I'm really hungry, if it's been, you know, a long, productive day and I'm about to try to treat myself a little bit, the ultimate order. Double quarter pounder, no onion, no pickle. I don't do onions. I like onion rings, otherwise we don't get along. 10-piece nugget, large fry. Go all in there. Barbecue sauce. That's the ultimate meal there. Now, I haven't gotten that in a very long time, because I'm getting to the age now where it actually, like, the rest of my day will be impacted if I do that. I won't have the energy to even sit down and play a video game if I do that. So a more realistic order is more like 2 double cheeseburgers, split like a medium fry with the wife, and a few nuggets. Yeah, so let me get a draft going here on the side, all right? I will get that fired up here in just a moment. This is like the top class I could find, too. I'll just take over Minnesota. So I think Jacksonville is on the clock right now. Have they actually opened the draft? Like, they took a while yesterday. I think they were trying to see how long they could milk the intro. Oh, the Panthers did exercise that option on Darnold. That was expected, though. They have the salary where it's like, you know, if we overpay Darnold, if this is wrong, oh well, you know? So it gives them the max upside if they hit on the pick. And that's what's important for Carolina right now. So that's a good call to pick up his option, even if it blows up in your face. I was a little bit surprised that Elijah Moore didn't get drafted last night, Greg. I felt like there were a number of teams that could use him. And I think he's my favorite playmaker that's going to come off the board today. I also wonder where Rondale Moore goes. Just because I think that depending on the team, he could have a really interesting role somewhere. Are you my favorite tight end, George Kittle? Favorite tight end? I mean, it probably is George Kittle. I like guys that can block and get yards after the catch. I like Kittle's game a lot. Also really like Darren Waller. You think my Steelers are going to take O-line and DB tonight? Jalen, I think so. Honestly, I wasn't like, you know, I didn't think that taking Najee Harris was the best move for them. But I do understand it. Like, you do need to lean more on your running game. So it's all about, do you take O-line early and then the running back later? Or the running back early and the O-line later? And it's like, if you don't take the running back in the first round, who's there by the time you're picking second? Because I'm guessing Javonte Williams goes early today. And to me, it was like, you know, Williams, Harris, Etienne, those are guys that I think have really high upside as starters. So if you took a tackle or a guard in the first round, you might not have the running back, and you want to take pressure off of Ben. So today I think they have to be extremely aggressive to shore up the O-line with multiple picks after all the players they've lost. So I don't love the Harris pick right now, but if their draft at the end fills in the other holes, then it doesn't matter. And that's how I feel also about like the Bengals, because I get it's a deep tackle class, but I think like the teams that should be waiting are the teams that have a decent situation going for their offensive line. They have Jonah Williams and Riley Reif, but I still think that like playing Penei Sewell at guard for a year, kicking out the tackle next was optimal. So now what do they do after taking Jamar Chase? That pick could make more sense by the end of the draft. Because receiver was deep, tackle was deep, and they attacked the one that was less of a need first. And I think that if you had a board, Chase and Sewell are probably pretty close together. Thoughts on where Owusu Koromoa will land? I think that he's going quick today. Would love to see him go to a team like Miami. I think that Philadelphia would also be really interesting. Like, he's going the first 5-7 picks, I think, today. So Jacksonville's on the clock, taking their time now at pick 33 overall. Who won in the Texans franchise yesterday? We did, the Texans. Is the draft underway yet? Rashad Bateman's pro comp is Allen Robinson. I would think more along the lines of Tyler Boyd, Keenan Allen, which is still really solid and is the exact kind of receiver Baltimore needs. Dependable route runner who can create his own separation, doesn't need to be schemed open, can win one-on-one. I think that Bateman's an excellent pick for Baltimore. I think it also lets you say, okay, Hollywood Brown, you're going to do what you do best, and you're not going to have to deviate from that as much. Appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. It's a lot of fun to be able to come on here and talk football. So we'll play the draft here in the background. Is it Pat Freiermuth here? Possibly. I really like his game too. Brevin Jordan, another tight end that I'm excited to see where he ends up going. But hard to say when the tight ends come off the board. Jacksonville could definitely be doing that, but here, I'm going to say they don't. I think this could end up being like Tevin Jenkins or something. The pick is in. I would prefer that there aren't spoilers in the chat. Packers exercising 5th year on Jair, of course. There goes Trevor Lawrence here in this draft. Can we do reactions without using names? Sure. I mean, once I start talking about it, then I don't really care. I just prefer not to have a bunch of spoilers. Because the draft for me is still about entertainment over information. I love experiencing the draft in the pure form. I don't like, you know, the Twitter experience. So I'm kind of letting the draft just play out here in the background because the real draft moves pretty slowly. And I don't want to catch up and just be like going one at a time or whatever. Alright, so they're announcing it right now. I don't have the audio on for it, so as soon as it flashes on screen, I will know. Alright, so to start the second round, who do the Jaguars take? Tyson Campbell. So the Georgia corners have gone now. I didn't think corner was going to be a top priority for them. So Tyson Campbell off the board now. There are a lot of really good athletes at corner in this draft, so you knew they weren't going to last long. Athletes go quick. The only reason why I think guys like Campbell are even available now is just because there were a lot of good athletes at corner here at the very top. But that means CJ Henderson, Shaquille Griffin, and Tyson Campbell along with Trey Herndon. That's not a bad cornerback group right there. So solidifying the secondary in Jacksonville is the priority now. So offense with the first two picks. So it made sense they'd come back to the defensive side this time. So that's a pretty interesting pick. Deepens the secondary for them. And that's never a bad idea. Yeah, and I think that Samuel is not going just because, like, you know, the NFL wants to draft the athletes early, you know? If you can get a guy that has a similar skill set but more athletic upside, then that's what happens a lot. And a lot of these guys who go on day 2 are probably safer picks but might not have, you know, as much all-pro potential. You see that all the time. You know, I think we all, if you knew about Antoine Winfield Jr., you probably thought of him as more of a first-round talent. He went second round last year. He's not big. Maybe he has to be, you know, fixated on a couple specific roles throughout his career. He's not going to be the big outside shutdown Jalen Ramsey ever, so he never gets drafted that high just because the ceiling's different. So round 2 is often where you get more just safe, solid starters. A lot of good players going round 2. I don't know Gregory Rousseau well enough to have an NFL comp. Sorry, James. Oh yeah, I'm very happy about the Darisaw pick, and I'm glad, you know, I listened to the Vikings, like, little conference with Zimmer last night, and it was so refreshing. They talked about how they wanted to get more size at tackle and offensive line, and that to me was just finally. You've been taking, like, these zone running scheme guys, which I understand, but they're also just being driven into Kirk's lap every other play because they can't block Akeem Hicks, Kenny Clark, and these other guys. So I think that they need to find a way to stay athletic enough to run the outside zone, but they have to be able to hold up against power, and that's been their Achilles heel now for years. And they're not done with the offensive line. So very happy they brought in a big tackle that can still play the zone scheme. Now do it at guard. Daryl, thank you for becoming a new member on the channel. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kane, do you want the 4 picks to trade into the second? I want to trade into the second twice. You know, I'm all about moving up for the top guard or to go and get an edge rusher now because those guys have fallen a little bit. Still a couple guys who are intriguing. So, you know, I think Minnesota's moving up. They have 4 3s and 4 4s. Where do they end up with that ammunition. And these picks, by the way, I mean, we're talking about early third. They have the second pick in the third round, so that's easy to move up into the second. 15th in the third, 23rd and 27th. So I'm expecting them to have a second round pick tonight. You package up that first three with another pick or two, see how far up they are willing to go. Jets pick is in. I think I missed a super chat earlier. Doing my best to stay caught up here. I appreciate it, everybody. Sup, Kane, been watching since the Rams Manning days. Loved your channel since then. What are your thoughts on Kwity Paye falling to Indy? I like that fit a lot for them. They had to add an edge rusher, and I think Paye has really high upside and probably a decent floor as well. I think that he has a lot of good play from Michigan he displayed last year. One of the games was against Minnesota. So that was a major need for Indianapolis. And if you can come away with Paye in the starting tackle, call that a big win. Oh, do they take Elijah Moore? Oh boy, let's go. The Jets get Elijah Moore. We knew he wasn't going to last a whole lot longer. I wonder, because they have a solid slot guy in Jamison Crowder, this has to show some confidence in him being able to play outside or inside. That's a really interesting pick for them, especially after already adding Corey Davis this year. So for the Jets at wide receiver, and what Zach Wilson's getting on day one, Mims, Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder, Elijah Moore. Teams are trying to get deep right now at wide receiver. You see it with Devontae Smith. You see it with Kadarius Toney. Teams that drafted or added receivers already in the first round last year, second round free agency, they're not done. Teams are taking advantage here, the chance to get deep on offense. If Owusu Koromoa goes to the Falcons here, I'm guessing it's to play safety in a hybrid style role. And I wonder, like, if that's maybe best for him anyway. No matter what, I think he needs to play in a scheme that's going to play him over the slot and spend a lot of time in the box as a glorified linebacker. So the designation linebacker safety is not all that important. The role is what matters the most. Who do I think the most successful quarterback in this year's draft will be? I'm going to stick with Trevor Lawrence there. Just seeing him for the last few years dominate college football. Easily, you know, like, who was the last prospect to come in with this much hype? Because to me, it surpasses Andrew Luck because Lawrence was such a winner in college and did it consistently. So to me, he's like the best quarterback prospect in a really, really long time. I think there are some similarities with JOK and Isaiah Simmons. They're super athletic. Simmons has the size on him, but as far as being a rare athlete that can play a unique role, I mean, I think you'd be using them in similar ways. We have a trade. Denver is up. What is Denver moving up for? Atlanta went down a few picks. What makes sense for Denver here? Let me look at their roster and predict this here. Wow. So after taking Patrick Surtain, they're already deep at playmaker. Is this a move Could this be for an edge rusher? Von Miller, Bradley Chubb. Very solid, obviously. Could this be a move for one of the edge rushers? What's worth moving up here for? Nothing stands out as glaringly obvious, but it could be Ojulari, which I guess would kind of be my pick right here. That's my best guess. Need to find a good NFL draft tracker here that shows like best available picks. So they swapped a 4 for a 6. Not a lot to give up there to move up. What's a good draft tracker that has like a best available board? Because on NFL.com, theirs is not set up very well for this. Because they're just showing like all the prospects together. Oh wait, undrafted. Here we go. Never mind, I got it. Yeah, so to me, it's going to be Azeez Ojulari. Let's see what it is. They're announcing it right now for me. I don't have the chat pulled up. Javonte Williams, a running back. Really? Wow. Not what I expected. I thought he'd go early today, but I didn't think that'd be their pick. So, obviously they have Melvin Gordon. They no longer have Phillip Lindsay. So they bring in a younger running back, Javonte Williams, and he's got some really fun games out there. He's a guy who's going to run through some people and be a downhill running back. He's really, he's going to be a fun player to watch. And I think he's got a very different style than Melvin Gordon. So a good complimentary running back there. Just surprised is all. Bronco fans, what do you think? Have any Bronco fans in the chat tonight? Let the tackles fall. Yeah, I mean, if you're a team that wants a tackle, you like seeing this start to the draft. This start to the second round. So many great tackles out there. And we're into the second round now in the draft that's been going on. So I have not really been paying attention to it, but Zach Wilson's still out there, and so is Rashawn Slater, Travis Etienne. All right, so the Dolphins pick is in. It's about to be made simultaneously here. I'm predicting that Madden doesn't get any of these right at all. Just as surprised by the pick as you. Probably would have liked to address another need, but I like the pick. I think Gordon and Freeman are free agents after this year. That's a big part of it, is being forward thinking with your roster and not just saying who can help us the most this year, but in years to come. Always good to know who the pending free agents are. Looks like the Dolphins pick is about to be announced here. So the Broncos didn't do what I thought they would, and now the Dolphins I really think that Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah would be a really fun pick here. So that's probably my... Or Tevin Jenkins. Oh. I'm going to guess Tevin Jenkins over JOK. I don't have chat pulled up so I don't get spoiled. Javon Holland, they go safety. All right. So safety has not been a huge topic of conversation. They go with Holland out of Oregon, whom I believe opted out of this year. I know I've seen a little bit of stuff on him, but I don't really know a ton about his game. I know that that franchise guy had him as his top safety. I did think safety made some sense for them at some point, so I totally understand that. Right now for them at safety, they had Eric Rowe and Bobby McCain. So that means that Trayvon Merrick continues to fall. And I would like him as a fit for Minnesota, but I just don't think that it's quite high enough on their priorities for that to happen. So that brings us to Philly next. Philadelphia, after going with Devontae Smith, their pick is in. How about Asante Samuel Jr. right here? That'd be some fun. It's Landon Dickerson. Is that confirmed or is that just speculation? Because I think that would make some sense too. When do the centers go? Try to find the guy that succeeds Jason Kelce. Oh, Sam, I've seen some of his videos for sure. Patriots traded up. The Bengals are trading 38 to the Patriots. So, with the Patriots, I just saw Matt Miller say Christian Barmore, and they really do need some pass rush juice on this team. And I'm a bit surprised Barmore didn't go earlier, but I think this is about the range where his weight has to end. So, not a ton of interior pass rushers in this class. If you want one, you got to go and get the guy, basically, Christian Barmore. So that would make a lot of sense, but I also wonder when Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is going to go. Imagine Carolina if they took him. Shaq Thompson, Jeremy Chin, JOK. And then just consider like Brian Burns as well, like just the all-athlete defense they have building there. Carolina's coming up. Although I think that after taking J.C. Horn, Carolina's got to be thinking offense. I have no idea when Rondale Moore is going to go. I'm expecting it to be a little bit later in the round, perhaps. Okay, so we're at Carolina's pick right now in this little simulation I have going behind me. They're going to announce the Philly pick here soon. In just a moment. Another guy I think that's interesting, I wonder when he goes because of the size-speed combo, where he stands out among who is left, is Nico Collins out of Michigan. I think taking Nico Collins is similar to trying to take a guy like DJ Chark a few years ago, that day 2 height, weight, speed guy. All right, so the Eagles pick was just announced. Landon Dickerson. All right, so they do take their future starting center. That's pretty solid. A chance to replace Jason Kelsey with perhaps the top center in the class. Landon Dickerson. What draft pick surprised you the most? I thought Peyton Turner to the Saints was surprising, along with Alex Leatherwood going to the Raiders. No, I did not see Golick do that. No. What do I think of Washington taking Jamin Davis? Everything I've seen about him shows that he could end up being a bit of a steal in the first round if he does have this dominant 3-down skill set that a lot of people are hyping up. I don't think he has as much like experience as some other players, but I felt like they were a team that would be looking at linebacker if it wasn't a quarterback in the first round. So I think that's a good pick for the Washington football team to continue adding pieces to an already stellar defense. Because linebacker was definitely a spot on that defense where they didn't really have anybody all that exciting. Yeah, Jamin Davis, I think, right away becomes a guy you're going to be playing and getting a lot more out of than some of these other guys. See that front four they have in Washington? That's what I'm trying to have, you know, in my Texans series. It's worked so far. Patriots pick is in. We have the trade here. They gave up 2 4s to move up from 46. So gauging that value, Minnesota would probably have to be packaging up a 3 and a 4 to get up closer to this range. Like obviously a 3 plus a 3 and 4. I think Minnesota's more likely in like the mid to late 40s to move up. So the Patriots about to have their announcement, and there's old Roger back to announce this one. Roger Goodell back again. Christian Barmore going to New England. All right. So, arguably the best, like 3 technique interior pass rusher in the class goes to New England. Major need for them at a spot in the draft that's not very deep. So, totally understand this move for them. Their defense needed some more pass rushers, whether it's edge or interior. And Barmore doesn't have a ton of experience, but the experience he got and who he got it against was pretty impressive. Good playoff run, good national championship games. So, are we out of Alabama players yet? Who's left from Alabama that has to go still? We've seen Mac Jones, we've seen Surtain, Leatherwood, Landon Dickerson, Christian Barmore. Who's left from Alabama? Najee Harris. Yeah, JOK continues to slide. Who ends it? How do we feel about the Leatherwood pick? I think it's just more so like, why didn't you try trading back? Why aren't you trying to at least get more value out of the draft overall? Like, consistently, the Raiders have been a team recently trying to get their guys, even if it's early. And I mean, if you really hit on those picks, then I think you get people to buy in, but it hasn't always worked how they thought. So maybe their board is just different, the way they rank players and what they're prioritizing. How much of it is like your experience level playing at a successful program? You know, we've seen a lot of top tier programs, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, be picks for the Raiders. And I think that's all Gruden's doing. So the Bears are on the clock now. Justin Fields in the first. It's already a major win for them. If they didn't take Fields, they were going to be using next year's first round pick to take a quarterback anyway. So Tevin Jenkins to the Bears. The mauling tackle. It makes a lot of sense for Chicago. That was definitely a need for them. So right away, Fields, Tevin Jenkins, gotta like that start for Chicago. And Carolina, where the heck do they fall to? We're talking about Ryan Pace saving his job when there was like no chance of him keeping it with just like Andy Dalton. I don't know why a Bears trade up wasn't talked about a little bit more often. Now that they actually have first round picks again after the Trubisky and Khalil Mack trades, they've gotten their picks back built up again. But maybe we should have seen it as more of a possibility. I think the thought was just like, if someone's trading up for Fields, it's before 20. It's the Patriots. Chicago's playing aggressive here. I gotta like the way they're handling their business. I gotta appreciate it. All right, so Atlanta is next, and to me, like, I wonder if this is a quarterback. I don't think it's going to end up being one, but you gotta start thinking about the future seriously. They've been using Matt Schaub as a backup. Did you even know that? Like, Matt Schaub. So here for them, for ATL, trying to find him here. You know who I love here is Asante Samuel Jr. I think Asante Samuel or Kyle Trask right here. Also, they need a running back. Javonte Williams went, and I thought he'd be somebody they'd look to add. So I'm not sure if they're going to end up going running back today. What about Azeez Ojulari? I mean, they've been trying to find pass rushers for years. So I got 3 guys in mind. You know what? I think Trayvon Merrick even makes a lot of sense. It's got to be one of those 4, right? Merrick, Trask, Ojulari, or Asante Samuel. A lot of interesting players still out there. So I'm getting it here on my end. Who are the Falcons taking? Roger about to announce it, I think. I can't hear what's going on with the draft, so I'm just trying to lip read and wait it out. All right, the Falcons end up taking Richie Grant, so they go safety. That was an area of need for them. Merrick's fall continues. Not even going to be the second safety off the board. Deontay Brown, can't wait to see where he goes. The big mauling guard. You know Dave Gettleman's got to be thinking about it here. Coming up, right? Thanks, Connor. I appreciate you stopping by. Having some fun. Just talking about the draft as it unfolds. We're getting into the 40s. Richie Grant just taken. UCF safety. Not another Houston episode today. No, I don't have another one ready. I'm guessing the next episode's going to be up on Sunday. Tomorrow might be a day where I take it easy. You like Cisco more than Merrig? Andre Cisco. That's one of those spots. Safety is never like the easy place to project the order of guys. I think it's because skill sets are so important there. What is it specifically you're looking for? And I feel like most classes don't have a lot of guys that separate themselves at safety. Like, I feel like we don't end up with a lot of like great safety prospects, and the ones that are great, they just go super early. So anybody that doesn't go in the top 10 is like, they could go in the 3rd round, they could go in the 20s somewhere, who knows. So the Lions pick is in. So we've seen Detroit take Penei Sewell. I gotta think that wide receiver is going to be one of the next things. They are trying to build a foundation, so I could see even more players in the trenches. So with Detroit, man, you know JOK makes a lot of sense to them. So does a corner. I think that they got a foundational piece on offense in the 1st round. It could be a receiver, but I think they're going defense here. I'm going to say JOK or Asante Samuel. I'm just going to keep guessing those two until they're taken. As a Viking fan, do you see us coming up in the 2nd round around 45, or do we stick and pick? Definitely not, Mark. Appreciate the super chat very much. The Vikings got these picks, I think, to manipulate day 3, or day 2 especially, and try to find a couple more starters. They could still use another guard. They could still use a starting edge rusher. They still could, you know, they could play Xavier Woods, or they could go and get another safety. There's a lot Minnesota could do. The way the board's falling, I'm not surprised they're playing it patiently, because like all this is doing is pushing players down I think that they could be targeting. So I think we're going to see them move up soon. I do expect it soon. So the Lions pick is in. Love the pick of Penei Sewell. Not trying to be flashy and go get a playmaker to play with Jared Goff and a team that's going to be terrible, most likely. So to go get a foundational piece you can build around, it's not the most exciting thing, but I think it's the right thing to do. Giants trade down. Wow, Gettleman. Gettleman is getting into this whole trade thing. It's new for him. It's exciting. He's going to trade all weekend now. I still feel pretty good about PJ Fleck. I mean, he's done for Minnesota football what no one's been able to do for a very long time. And I have confidence that he's going to be able to replace the stars of the team that won the Outback Bowl with another group of playmakers. So hopefully they still have some impact talent that can fill in the gaps. But I'm still a PJ Fleck believer. Last year was strange. Well, I mean, the best lineman isn't going to be flashy because he's never going to touch the football and score a touchdown. Levi MrHurriicane. I think he's the nose from Washington. So I told you, like a foundational piece on offense and now one on defense. Trenches, the first two picks. That's Dan Campbell, and I think what he's trying to do here. Maybe he's not the nose. 6'2", 290. Yeah, I like what the Giants are doing overall, acquiring talent for picks for next year as well. I mean, they already have 2 firsts next year, so if this whole Daniel Jones thing finally ends this year, you got capital to move up and do what you got to do there as far as your next quarterback goes. We have a trade. We have a trade. Miami at 42. Las Vegas follows. The Falcons just got A.J. McCarron. I see that on the ticker. Strong 3 tech. Always good to have some good 3 techs on your team. I know in Minnesota we've been missing it for a long time, ever since Kevin Williams departed. Well, I mean, Sharif Floyd, unfortunately, his career was cut short due to a botched surgery. You can read about that, but unfortunate situation ended his career. I think he was going to be a star, though, had that not happened. Like, he was really coming around before that surgery. Liam Eichenberg, tackle to Miami. So here we see more of that tackle depth going into day 2. They have a playmaker and a lineman added now. So we got the news that Robert Hunt was going to move inside the other day. So this makes a lot of sense. Last year's first round pick, Austin Jackson at left tackle. We'll see if he takes a step this year. Eichenberg probably goes to the right side then. Not a very surprising pick. And the Raiders are up next. Who knows what they're going to do? I'm not even going to bother predicting because the Raiders are weird. Really wanted JOK, but I'll take the center. Yeah, I mean, got to be ready for when these Hall of Fame caliber linemen move on eventually. And I think you're seeing the trend of like young quarterbacks being supported with the first pick or 2 by their teams. So we're seeing it happen in pairs. Like Tua, he got Waddle and Eichenberg. We saw it with let's see. I expect the Giants to maybe do something similar with an offensive lineman, but they traded back. I think Burrow's going to end up with a tackle with the next pick, or a guard, one of the two. Do I like the Brewers this year? I like the Brewers pitching, but that's it. I don't like their offense. Their pitching is stellar. So they got to win everything, you know, 3-2. I just don't think that's a winning formula when you face teams that can pitch and hit. Let's predict here for the Raiders. Who's the best player available that went to either Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Notre Dame? Like here, if the Raiders are making this pick after going with Leatherwood in the first round, how about Deontay Brown just right here? More offensive line. Dylan Moses, maybe? Come on, Raiders. Stay on brand with this next pick. I like Amari Rodgers a lot, too. Yeah, I can't wait to see where he goes. I think he'll be a nice complimentary receiver somewhere. I like receivers with catch and run skills. Like the game is going to so much of like a quick passing game in a lot of ways. And so it's like, you know, how about you throw quick passes and have guys that can get yards after the catch, overthrowing downfield and taking more risks and exposing your quarterback. So that's why you see me like that skill set so much these days. You know, I love guys like Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel. And I like, you know, pass catching running backs as well. Like, who can you throw it to the shortest distance and get the most out of? Gruden's pumped up. It's Dylan Moses, isn't it? You think the Raiders should be looking for a running back? After getting Kenyon Drake, I wouldn't count on it, and they love Jalen Richard. All right, here we go. Let's see it. Dylan Moses, Deontay Brown, Cornell Powell, somebody from just a big school that should go later. Trayvon Merrick. Okay. So they go to get a safety that a lot of people thought would go earlier in the first round, potentially. Late first, early second was kind of the thought there. Trayvon Merrick. I like the pick for Las Vegas. I don't think that's been their typical Gruden special. If it's Dylan Moses, I'm quitting this team. You're okay. Do you like it, though? Were you the one saying that you like Cisco more earlier? However, Caleb, with Drake, they're talking about playing him at receiver. I think to play in the role, they were going to have Lynn Bowden play in last year before they traded him after spending a third-round pick. One of the weirdest developments, I think, in the past year. Are the phones working over there in Minnesota? I want to see them move up here sometime soon. Thoughts on the Steelers? Overall, they have to come away with offensive line help. And to me, that should have been the top priority. But you can still come out of the draft with the right combo of running back and offensive line. I just felt like going running back in the first round wasn't the best way to necessarily attack it. So it's very much like a to be determined kind of thing. The Wild Arcanine. Thank you for becoming a member. And speaking of Arcanine, I can't wait to dive into some Pokemon Snap later. That might be how I finish out the day. A little Pokemon Snap action. Getting to that age now where everybody's just selling my childhood left and right back to me as an adult. So, gotta love that. Watching everybody that gets drafted. I watched his dad, I watched his dad, I watched his dad cover his dad. Like, come on. Why do you think JOK is falling? Hybrids that... I think in general it's because he's more of a hybrid player. And his size is not ideal for linebacker. So I think it's just teams not being as confident in the pro transition for him. All right, Dallas on the clock. What's Jerry up to here? He sees, everybody's talking about Justin Fields. He wants the spotlight here. What's Jerry Jones up to? Already took Micah Parsons. Is this Asante Samuel? I think that'd be a really fun pick. What about Pat Freiermuth, tight end, after Jarwin was hurt last season? Or what about an edge rusher? The Cowboys select Kelvin Joseph, cornerback, Kentucky. So they do go corner. Asante Samuel's falling, and Mike Zimmer's got to be just foaming at the mouth for the chance to maybe trade up and get him. Vikings need guard. They need edge. If they were to trade up and get Asante Samuel, I ain't mad at that. So Kelvin Joseph out of Kentucky. The athletes are going. Everybody else falls. What about Pat Freiermuth to the Vikings? I think that'd be like 5th or 6th on my priority board here. A tight end later makes some sense to me. I want Herb Smith to be the guy, but the Vikings are going to run a lot of 2 tight end or tight end fullback stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them go after a tight end, but the timing just isn't right today. I want Asante Samuel. Minnesota's next pick is toward the top of the 3rd round. So, yeah, I think they'd have to package up 2 picks that make it happen. And I think they're going to be more than happy being patient after getting Darisaw early on. And there's still a lot of draft to go. So the Jaguars just selected Walker Little out of Stanford. So they go with an offensive lineman now to help protect Trevor Lawrence. So Matt Miller says he was his offensive tackle number 1 heading into 2019. Tore his ACL week 1 and hasn't played since due to opting out. So it's been a while since we've seen him play, or anybody's really seen him play. I don't know much about him. You know, the Bears still have a major need at corner, so they're probably going to be targeting that, I'd say, with their next pick. Gotta find the Kyle Fuller replacement. When is the Bears' next selection? I didn't realize just how much they gave up. They moved up twice. Their next pick isn't till the 5th. So Chicago's fun is kind of over. It's a 5 and 3/6. They don't pick again for another 106 picks. So they're probably just filling out the roster now with what they can the rest of the way. Go get your guys, work on the offense. That's what had to get better. And trust that you got enough on defense, even if you're playing, you know, a really young, low drafted corner or something. All right, so the Bengals are here. Cosme here? I gotta think so. Offensive tackles who are undrafted. We have Dylan Raduns. We have Sam Cosme, Stone Forsythe, Brady Christensen, Jalen Moore. So I think if you want to get a starter here, well, this could be a guard. I mean, this could easily be one of the top guards. Trey Smith, Wyatt Davis, Aaron Banks. I'd think they'd go guard because I think they'll just keep Reef at tackle, play Reef at right tackle, Jonah Williams at left tackle. So I'm thinking it's a guard. Has to be. Ben Cleveland's out there too. So there's some interesting guards that will be coming off the board here soon. Hopefully Minnesota takes one. Waiting for it to be announced here on TV, or maybe I'll just check Twitter. When are we going to see the Bengals get this pick in? Okay. Jackson Carmans. They do end up going with a tackle. I thought it was going to be guard now. Why did the Bengals trade back? I'm not quite sure. I felt like it was time for them to attack a glaring need and help out Burrow. But they're taking an offensive lineman regardless. Jackson Carman. Out of Clemson. Is this enough for the Bengals? Now, on NFL Network, they have him listed as a guard. So, I don't know if they announced him there as a guard or a tackle, but Lance Zierlein has him as a guard on NFL.com. So, interior made some sense here. Lance Zierlein had him as a third rounder. Hey, Cade, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Almost to the 50s here. We're getting closer to Minnesota time. The Chargers pick is in, and boy, I love their offseason. Rashawn Slater to help fill out the offensive line. Defense, you know, Asante Samuel could make some sense here for them. I also think another playmaker on offense isn't out of the question. So if they add a receiver, I'm not sure exactly who I like as a fit. I don't know a lot about this next tier of receivers. But somebody's got to be looking at Asante Samuel Jr. here and saying, we're getting a steal. So, waiting on that. I'm just waiting on a Vikings trade up. I'm waiting for hopefully a couple. They have 4 threes right now, but how many will they actually take? Osa to the Chargers. I loved his brother coming out of the draft a few years ago. Owa. Didn't work out in New York. Like, I thought he was going to be dominant. How is Joker still here at 47? He's a hybrid who doesn't really have the size to play a traditional linebacker role. So, those are the kinds of guys that fall. What position does he even play? Because he played a special position at Notre Dame. Brett Coleman has a great video on him. And there's certainly a role for him, but what does his full-time role look like? Because he's not going to play slot corner, although over the slot as like an overhang safety is, you know, perfect for him. But are you playing him at linebacker, safety? Are you playing him as his own kind of spot? So the draft is kind of going slowly here. They took Asante Samuel. Okay, Chargers got Asante Samuel Jr. I mean, you got to feel good with the Chargers right now. To fill out your O-line, go get a guy like Asante Samuel Jr. in the 2nd round. Charger fans got to be happy. Seattle, Creed Humphrey would be dope too. See, they prefer guys in the 5th round that converted from like defensive tackle that have a really high spark score. I'm not sure if Creed Humphrey fits that description. Darth, I mean, I like the Chargers draft so far, Chicago's. Although they're not going to be adding a whole lot to what they have done. So a chance to add another playmaker or a starter in the secondary, that's not looking as likely. But they found a late playmaker last year in Mooney, so we'll see. Thoughts on the Giants signing Odenigbo? He's a fun rotational rusher. I think that he's a perfect guy to come off the bench and play like 15 snaps a game or so as an extra pass rusher. And hopefully he gets some sacks because he has a great sack celebration. I'll let you find out on your own. JOK could be a box safety or a pure pass rusher. He's also good against the run. I could see like a box safety role. You'd be very comfortable with him playing over the slot as well. And matching up with tight ends. So to me, him falling probably says that teams don't like him a lot at linebacker. They're a little, you know, hesitant to take him this early. So I think that when he's drafted, they're going to call him a safety. But JOK, I think, is easily one of the best players available and one of the most intriguing. And if he hits, I mean, we're talking potential steal of the draft. You want to draft guys early that have a chance, like if they hit, if you're right, you get the most out of them. And JOK, I think, has a way too much upside to still be available. Yeah, you're right. In a league that's so nickel focused these days, you know, where are you lining him up? And to me, I'd be playing him a lot over the slot. I want him close to the line of scrimmage. I know that. So, some sort of hybrid role. Maybe he's just a weak side linebacker in your base, and then, you know, he just slides out and you don't even play a nickel corner all the time. Like, how many guys do that kind of thing? I mean, you're talking about stuff that you'll see from like Derwin James and, you know, the unique role that like Jamal Adams has played or Jeremy Chin, but not every team has a guy like that. There's only a handful. Yeah, I think strong safety. I think with Ojulari there were some medical concerns, but I feel like he's lasting for longer than he probably should. I am from Minnesota, although I left. So San Francisco's pick is in. I'm about to see it live here. So, what does Trey Lance get right after being selected? If they go JOK, oh my goodness. Imagine drafting one of the only guys that could potentially match up with George Kittle. Aaron Banks. So they go with a guard. They kind of go play it safe here. Aaron Banks. So I'm guessing this is your new right guard. Nothing wrong with that. First team All-American at guard. First team All-ACC. Because he was actually in a conference. It was the 1 year like Notre Dame could actually get like an all-conference award to a player. I know, Joker is way too good to still be out there. I feel like every year Notre Dame has a bunch of picks on offense, and every year's a tight end too. Tommy Tremble's going to go at some point today. He's an interesting player. Some view him as the next like Kyle Juszczyk. Maybe he plays some fullback. So, 3rd or 4th round is likely for him. What team do you see picking up JOK? I mean, it's made sense for so many picks. Like the Giants are about to pick, and he makes sense there. He doesn't to Arizona because they already have to figure out what they're doing with Isaiah Simmons. So, I mean, if the Giants come out of here with JOK, that would be wild. What do I think Seattle will do at 56? The Seattle Seahawks, their first pick of the draft. Welcome to the show. Seattle, they have 3 picks, right? That's it. So you really got to make them count. Someone suggested Creed Humphrey earlier, and if he's still there, which he's got to make it past Pittsburgh, that's iffy. I'm not counting on that. I think corner makes a lot of sense for them. Who do you like out of who's left? A Fatu Melifonwu? I mean, that would be such a Seahawks pick. A really big athlete to go play corner. I think that's the kind of pick they make. Rondale Moore. I really wonder when he's gonna go. All right, so the Cardinals just selected Rondale Moore. So they got the speed guy. This is basically like Andy Isabella Part 2, but better. Rondale Moore. You know what? As far as spots go, I love it for him. Rondale Moore. I mean, you got gadget plays you can run with him. How much can he do, I think, ends up being the question. He's very small, so I think you're going to be doing a lot of like scheming him open, screens, gadget plays, lining up in the backfield makes sense. Can he win down the field at the NFL level? That's a big question that goes overlooked for guys at his size going into the league. Like, people didn't question that about Tavon Austin enough when he was a top 10 selection. So, how different are Rondale Moore and Tavon Austin as prospects? I think that tells you a little bit about how the NFL has changed over the past handful of years. Because I think they're pretty similar prospects and they're drafted very far apart by 40 picks. So, I love them in this offense though. I just wonder if, is Kirk still your downfield deep guy? Because they want to open up that offense, I think, a little bit more. They just signed 2 to 3 corners. Who did they bring in? Akello Witherspoon, Pierre Desir. Am I on the right team? Yeah. Picking for the Seahawks, guessing for them, I just go to like, you know, really good athletes and hope for the best. Just guess that'll happen that way. Four of the 5 teams that took a round 1 quarterback have already taken linemen. Nobody wants to have the next Sam Darnold or the next Josh Rosen. A guy who steps in, gets clobbered in the pocket every snap, and you don't get a clean evaluation. Or it impacts his development. Are there any more quarterbacks? Yeah, but no one that's going to be starting by week 1. Does Washington go Kyle Trask or Kellen Mond here? They're coming up. I think it would make a lot of sense. We haven't seen a day 2 quarterback yet. But I mean, they don't know who their quarterback is in 2022. And the chance to have somebody learn with Fitz, who's done a great job already alongside other rookie quarterbacks that have been drafted. I mean, they got to take a quarterback, right? Trask, Mond, take your pick, but take a quarterback. There's also Davis Mills that could go sometime soon. I'm only expecting 1 or 2 quarterbacks today. I think we see Trask and Mond. Those are the 2 most intriguing to me. At least with Trask, like, he doesn't have that much starting experience. So you can wonder, like, where can he go from where he's at now? Because the guy didn't even start in high school. Wasn't he backing up De'Aaron King in high school and then had to wait his turn at Florida? All right, so do we get a Dave Gettleman hog molly here at pick 50? Do we get one of the big boys along the line? Could this be Deontay Brown? I want Deontay Brown to go to the Giants so bad. Or does JOK's wait finally end? I still can't see Minnesota on the board soon. But if they're going to trade up, like, we're getting to that time. Why Brown King? Because he's a big mauling guard. I think that it'd be like drafting Will Hernandez for the second time. The Giants are taking Aziz Ojulari, edge rusher. All right, so a pass rusher now for Dave Gettleman. He doesn't go with the big guard yet. Ojulari was going in the first round of a lot of mock drafts. So immediately you think that it's good value there. And everything I've seen from him shows a lot of explosiveness on the edge. So a guy with a lot of juice. And he was easily the most intriguing edge rusher, I think, available today. But down goes JOK still down the board. If JOK falls to 56 and lines up with Adams and Jordan Brooks, that's a fast defense. It is, and that would be a fun pick. Imagine what you could do with Adams and JOK, but I don't see that happening personally. What if Kansas City gets him and says no one's drafting him to try to cover Travis Kelce? We're getting him. Would Carolina want to pick up JOK? I feel like that won't happen because of Jeremy Chin. He moves around all over the place. He's kind of their versatile chess piece on defense. So I wouldn't expect it, especially after they didn't take a tackle in the first round. I gotta think that's happening soon. Is it time to start talking about JOK to the Vikings? I can't see it happening, personally. I wouldn't be mad at it. But they really like to move around Harrison Smith around the line of scrimmage, and that's where I think you'd be playing with JOK. And they already have Barr, so I don't think that it's the best fit in Minnesota. Yeah, to me, for Washington, I'm thinking quarterback. And for Carolina, I'm thinking tackle. Or a tight end. I could see Pat Freiermuth going there, but they've got to go with a lineman, I think. Right now, it's looking like... I don't know if they will be starting Pat Elflein. That's what Our Lad says on their depth chart. Cameron Irving's probably going to be starting. But this offensive line is not good enough the way it is. So that's got to be next. Carolina still needs to probably add a playmaker too. How much longer are you going to have Robbie Anderson? One more year? Alright, I'm watching on TV here to see if I end up being right about the Washington selection. Pick 51 of the second round. They just took Paulson Adebo on the right side here. Washington took Samuel Cosme. I wonder if that makes Carolina upset. Did they move back again? Where's Carolina going? Are they trading out of the draft? The Panthers have moved down how many times already today? Yeah, Spielman's got to make 15 selections again. I mean, the numbers say, like, just take more shots in the draft. So, we'll see. But, I mean, there are still a lot of interesting players on the board, so do you have to move up? Browns have to go JOK. Now, they're moving up, so who here is worth moving up for? Is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah the type of player you trade up for? A unique athlete that can play like a box safety, slot, overhang role, and blitz, and has incredible athleticism? Is that the kind of player you trade up for? When you have a solid team like the Cleveland Browns? It almost sounds too good to be true. Is it finally JOK's time? It's gotta be. It has to be. Although, they'd have to be comfortable with him at linebacker, probably. And that's my question, is a team comfortable playing him at linebacker? Because they're going to play Grant Delpit and John Johnson. They just added Johnson. They just added Greg Newsome yesterday. All right. Browns fans, who do you got next? It's not an offensive lineman. It's not going to be a tight end or a running back. I'm thinking JOK. They'll figure it out. They moved up for a reason. And I'm waiting for this one to be revealed on TV. If it's not JOK, I can't even find like a plan B that sounds right. Because wouldn't the value here still be like offensive line? Announce the pick. It's got to be JOK. I'm not looking at chat right now because I imagine some of you are already talking about the pick. They take forever to announce this. Hey, I see Minnesota's name on the ticker at least. Alright, I'm going to Twitter. They're just taking too long. The Browns are taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Can't believe that. What a pick for Cleveland. You know, I never thought I'd see this team in this position. Imagine the Cleveland Browns in the second round being able to say, we can do whatever because we have a solid roster and an actual, like, starting good quarterback. The Browns could have gone anywhere. Just think about that. In the second round, the Browns could afford to just say, we're trading up, giving up picks to take a high upside, boom bust player. There you go, Cleveland. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, a guy you can match up with tight ends. You can move him around on defense. He can blitz. He plays with a ton of energy. When he's on the field, you don't have to even know his number. He stands out. He's bouncing around all over. He's fast, flying all over the place. He's a really interesting player with as much upside as anybody going beyond the top 50 picks. He's not a traditional safety. He's not a traditional linebacker. He's a player you can't necessarily compare to somebody else. It's just not easy enough to do that. What would my Broncos have to give up for Rodgers, in your opinion? That's really difficult because now you're talking about future picks. In the NFL, we never see, like, the Broncos have traded the rights of Patrick Surtain to the Packers along with a first-round pick next year, a third-round pick, and Jerry Jeudy for Aaron Rodgers. Like, that doesn't happen. So now I think, unless they change the game, it's like your next 2 to 3 first-round picks. Probably Drew Lock, maybe. Cortland Sutton or something. Like, it'd be a really big haul. Especially because all the picks are futures, which have inherently less value than if they were this weekend. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. All right, I gotta see Carolina's like what they have now. If this is updated, Carolina has pick 52. No, that was just. So this isn't updated. I've got to see what they got from Cleveland because they already got Chicago's 3 and Chicago's 6. Carolina has a ton of picks to make still. The Titans are on the clock now. On NFL Network, they're comparing JOK to Harrison Smith. If Seattle gets it right and takes Humphrey, I will cry. It's lining up in the stars. I think you got to leapfrog Pittsburgh. The pick is in for Tennessee. Let's see. Not seeing it on Twitter yet. Tennessee here. I'm thinking offensive line while you still can. And after taking Caleb Farley, I think you gotta, think about your risk-reward portfolio in this draft. Took a guy with massive upside but serious medical concerns. I think this pick has to be something safer. And I could see this being an offensive lineman. Looking more and more, though, like Josh Reynolds might have a role in this offense, huh? I like Josh Reynolds. Since when do the Titans get DeShone Kizer? Is this right? He is on Tennessee Titans. Wow. Did you even know that? Dylan Ray Duns. All right. Makes sense. Yeah, DeShone Kizer is on the Titans. Second round getting down there now. Pittsburgh's coming up. Got to think that we could see more offensive linemen going to them. And you also have Indianapolis up now. And that was a spot, obviously, where offensive line was expected in the first round. And they took Kwity Paye. So this is almost guaranteed to be a tackle. So today we've already seen Tevin Jenkins, Liam Eichenberg, Sam Cosmi, Dylan Ray Duns, and Walker Little get drafted. This is going to be a tackle. Brady Christensen is there. Had a good year with BYU. But the next tackle taken here, Indianapolis is likely going to be replacing Anthony Costanzo with the 10th tackle selected. Meanwhile, there have only been 3 players at guard selected at this point. So you talk about that depth at tackle, it's about to be wiped out pretty much. Oh wait, is Ray Duns on this list? Okay, he is. Yeah, so it's going to be the 10th tackle. Hey, what's up? Been watching your videos since Madden 25. What did I miss? Just talking about the draft as it unfolds before us here in the second round. I appreciate it, Khalil. Just hanging out tonight, taking it easy. Got a little draft sim in the background that is nowhere near accurate, but oh well. Pick is in for Indianapolis. This feels like it's pretty much done deal. Not announced yet. So I think we're seeing offensive line at least 2 of the next picks, maybe maybe 3, and then the Rams have their first pick. With the LA Rams, they have some action today. They have a pair of 3s. I do wonder when the quarterbacks go. Pittsburgh is definitely not going to be taking one. I'm not sure if a quarterback even goes in this round. Tampa Bay is a possibility, and so is New Orleans. But I kind of feel like the quarterbacks are all slipping to the third. What do you guys think? The Colts just took a defensive end. They didn't go with the tackle. Really? I don't know this player. They took Dayo Odangbo. On NFL Network or NFL.com, his comp is Montez Sweat, which tells you, like, super athlete. He is 6'5", 285, so a lot of size there. He tore his Achilles in the offseason. But he offers, according to Lance Zierlein, rush potential from all over the defensive line. Very long wingspan, versatile. Those are the kinds of guys that go here. But I'm shocked they didn't go tackle. Really shocked. When did he tear his Achilles? Because that could impact whether he even gets to play this year. Steelers pick is in. That didn't take long. I'm guessing it's going to be Creed Humphrey. And that's always the tricky one. Like, do you think that the the top interior linemen make it to the first round, or do they slide? Because sometimes you get Travis Frederick as the first center taken in the first round, and other years it's like the Vikings taking Pat Elflein in the third. But perhaps with a couple other position groups being weak and just the need that some of these teams have, I'm expecting to see more of the interior linemen potential starters go in this range. We're late too now. So the Steelers, Franco Harris announcing the pick. It's got to be someone to block for a running back. If it's not Creed Humphrey, or actually he's announcing it now, no speculation. Steelers take Pat Freiermuth. Wow. What is your plan for the offensive line? Seattle, here's your shot. Creed Humphrey has fallen into your lap. No O-line. So we have the Colts and Steelers avoiding major need here in the second round. That is shocking. Swami on Twitter right now. The Steelers literally drafted a guy to get shut down by JOK. How nice of them. I just don't understand. Their offensive line was a big reason they couldn't run the ball a year ago. And now they lost a lot of those players. How much confidence do you have in the guys you already have? Enough to where you're going to wait until the 3rd round at the earliest to address the positions. So now you're looking at Ebron and Freiermuth. Najee Harris stepping in at running back. They run it back at wide receiver, everybody you're used to. But I expected them to be a bit more aggressive as far as the O-line goes. Thankfully for defense, I mean, they're good. That's a great defense. Steelers were an offensive franchise for a handful of years, but I think it's back to being a defensive football team again. Do the Packers have a center right now? I think there's been some talk about Elton Jenkins moving to center, but otherwise, no. Seattle is stacked at running back. They like their running backs in Seattle. We know that. Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, Travis Homer, DJ Dallas, Alex Collins. I wouldn't say it's stacked. Because, I mean, it's not like Penny, Homer, or Collins have been like high quality guys. They can get the job done. But I am on team Chris Carson, that's for sure. Gerald Everett was an interesting pickup for them. I've been wanting to see more of him in more of a focused role at tight end. They added Gabe Jackson. I never even saw that happen. But imagine the Seahawks with O-line as a strength. It's almost impossible to. So is this Creed Humphrey? What are the thoughts at trading Penny? I just don't think he has any trade value. He's just a backup running back. You don't have to give up anything for that. And he hasn't been able to stay healthy. When will Madden update it so that you can use this year's players drafted in the game? They won't, but somebody that makes rosters will on the Madden share. Pick is in for Seattle. The Seahawk fans want an alignment right here. They want Creed Humphrey, it sounds like. Waiting to see it revealed here. Who's Seattle going to get? Wow. The Seahawks have taken wide receiver Dwayne Eskridge from Western Michigan. Teams are getting weird. Like, oh, the linemen are obviously going. Yeah. Ain't nothing obvious in this league. Dwayne Eskridge. Well. Over a lot of guys here that I thought would be off the board. We haven't really seen receivers get taken today. I mean, there was Elijah Moore, Rondale Moore. We talk about this wide receiver depth with the offensive line even going first. Seahawks fans, how are you doing? NFL.com, Dwayne Eskridge, 5'9", 190. A round 3 projection compared to Jacoby Ford. Some of you might not remember Jacoby Ford. He was a Clemson track star at wide receiver with 4.2 speed. Lance Zerline says he's not a great route runner, will struggle with contested catches, and lacks desired size, but he can really fly. Has the home run potential from anywhere on the field. Potentially a dangerous kick returner. So he's a guy that DK Metcalf is opening up the field for, drawing double teams and going downfield. Eskridge is the guy to benefit from that alongside Tyler Lockett. Yeah, the Seahawks do need some depth at receiver. The timing is weird, but these teams aren't predictable to begin with. Like, the last three sounded easy, and it's all been out of left field. Yeah, Pat Freiermuth just went to the Steelers. Hey, the Packers won't get Rodgers any receivers, and the Seahawks won't give Russell any linemen. Although they did bring in Dwayne Brown, and they'll do some things in free agency there. They got to try at least a little bit. I got to check on my Twins here. Please tell me finally a winning streak here. The Twins have been awful this year. They're losing so many almost at overtime games, extra innings games. The bullpen is a mess. So how are they doing now? You got to go dominate KC, all right? They're up 1-0. Who scored for them? Luis Arraez with an RBI. He's, not doing a bad job. They're playing Rortvedt at catcher. What's going on? When the Vikings trading up? I don't know. Maybe they're seeing all these weird picks come off the board and saying our plans aren't affected. I thought they would have traded up by now, though. Here comes the Rams' first pick. Yep, the Rams have joined the NFL draft. We're still awaiting the Houston Texans' arrival. No word if they've woken up, if they even have a draft room this year. So the LA Rams what could they be doing here? I could see them going with a safety. When does Creed Humphrey go? I forgot they had Deshaun Jackson. And they are still on the clock. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to be streaming for like all of day 2 or anything. I'm probably going to be getting off here sometime soon, maybe after the Vikings' first pick. I was hoping that I could get through the second round and the Vikings would make a little noise here, but they're playing it patiently. So I'm probably going to end it after Minnesota's pick. It's been 2.5 hours, but it's been fun. And I'm also getting hungry. Humphrey to the Packers? Potentially, if he's still there, yeah. To replace Corey Linsley would be great. What are my thoughts on Stafford to the Rams? I love it. I think that he's significantly better than Jared Goff, and I'm excited to see what he can do in that offense, and maybe we see this McVay offense go to new heights with a better quarterback. And Carolina, after trading down like 3 times, might actually have a pick coming up. So Carolina, after all these trade downs, it's still not updated here on NFL.com. Someone's got to have a more up-to-date draft tracker. Because this is way behind. Those trades were like a half hour ago. Let's see ESPN's draft tracker. Carolina has a pick here coming up in just a couple selections. And then they currently have 3 third-round picks and 4 sixth-round picks. Tutu Atwell. Wow, a receiver. Interesting. I know Atwell's a very small receiver. He's listed at 155. But he's got dynamic speed. I suppose this is their downfield threat, field stretcher. That's kind of a surprising pick to me. I didn't think receiver was a priority. Compared to Jakeem Grant, I see that a lot, yeah. All right. Tutu Atwell to the LA Rams. Yeah, when you look at their receivers, it's mostly guys that do their damage underneath, so it's not totally unexpected. They lost Josh Reynolds, who is a deep receiver. Not a super fast deep receiver, but a decent one nonetheless. So I guess it's not entirely surprising, but they have Deshaun Jackson. That's the thing. So this is D-Jax's backup to me. They just drafted their 5th receiver in the 2nd round. Maybe they just don't want to let the Chiefs get him. Kansas City on the clock. Isn't this their first pick of the entire draft? Because they already drafted Orlando Brown. They got a couple picks here in close proximity, so KC gets a little bit of the discussion here. Chiefs could be looking for a playmaker, though. I really think that that's likely with one of these 2 picks. Could be Terrace Marshall. I'm glad they're not getting like one of these like Rondale Moore speed guys. The speed guys are going, though, fast. We got a nice run on them here. Could it be Nico Collins? Or Terrace Marshall? They do like Byron Pringle, so I'm not sure how much of a priority it's going to be. But I think if they add somebody, it's going to be somebody with some size. So I got to think Nico Collins or Terrace Marshall, if that's the route they choose to go. This could also be a linebacker, potentially. What about, like, Nick Bolton? Let's see. They went Nick Bolton. Okay. So they got a linebacker with this first pick. I like that. I like that pick for them. Really interested in how much they can get out of Bolton. I think a lot of people are down on him. Very fast sideline to sideline. So I think the question is how much does he give you in pass coverage? Takes more than just speed to get the job done there. You got to be able to like flip your hips and have good agility, and all that goes into the coverage. So the linemen are getting a little bit ignored here. And that means Carolina will finally select, unless they trade down again. I swear if the Packers disappoint me, I will be so mad. We're almost through the second round, by the way, with no quarterbacks. I just realized he went to school at Missouri and he's going to be not going very far. Where is Mizzou at? Where is that university located? Columbia. I don't know my Missouri city layout very well. I've been to Kansas 3 times. All of them were driving through, having to spend the night. Not far at all. So he's not even going to get like the nice chartered flight. He's just probably going to get like driven. It's 120 miles. You don't like the Eskridge pick? I think taking 24-year-old rookies is a bit of a head scratcher high in the draft, unless they like have amazing athleticism or upside. But I mean, I think teams mostly look at players through the lens of one contract. You might draft a great player and have him for one contract. You might draft a bust and have him for one contract. It's hard to... I don't know how much teams take guys that aren't quarterbacks or top 5 picks and say, that guy for 10 years. Like, a lot of the guys that have already been drafted will be replaced in the next 5 years. You're not going to get 7 years out of everybody, even if they hit, or longer. And honestly, at a spot like just like a downfield speed receiver, a small speed receiver, you never count on having those guys for long. They always move around the league. Very rarely do you end up seeing like a Deshaun Jackson that plays in the same spot for multiple contracts. Those speed guys are always on the move. All right, Carolina, what's the plan here? Kane, how about a 28-year-old rookie? You mean Brandon Whedon? Or was he 29? You know Brandon Whedon's 38 years old, I think? How old is Brandon Whedon? 37 years old. Brandon Whedon is 37. Just think about that for a minute. Let that marinate. Like I said, I'm probably going to end the stream after Minnesota makes their first pick, but I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Fun hanging out, getting to talk about the draft. For Carolina, I'm thinking it's O-line. Maybe it's one of the top guards. But I'm thinking here we finally get another O-lineman. All right, Carolina's pick is in. Haven't seen it yet. This is also a potential spot for a quarterback, but I don't see it. They're talking about it right now on NFL Network. Wow. See, stop predicting O-linemen. They just took Terrace Marshall. Interesting. Kellen Mond to the Vikes? I'd be just fine with that. I'd love a quarterback tonight. So they lose Curtis Samuel and now find their next wide receiver 3. And it's a smart, you know, forward thinking with Robbie Anderson probably gone next year. So Terrace Marshall from LSU. And we are almost to the 60s now. I will be posting that Texans stream, but it's been trying to process. And I still don't know if it's done. I'll check right now. It's still not done. So hopefully tomorrow it gets wrapped up there. Sorry for the delay. Wasn't expecting that. So close to Minnesota. I'm getting hungry. I want to see a Vikings pick and then relax for the rest of the night. Although Minnesota could be busy the rest of the night. So New Orleans, do they potentially want more quarterback competition, or are they content? They went with Peyton Turner last night, which was a bit of a surprise. I think that they could use another playmaker. I also think another linebacker could come off the board here. But I think that there's a lot of options for the Saints. I don't think they have to do anything in particular here. Who do I want for the next Vikings pick out of who's left? I mean, I'm all about the offensive line right now, solidifying that. So I'd probably want Wyatt Davis or Trey Smith. I love Wyatt Davis with their next pick. I just want to see like them go heavy on offensive line and just move on. Glad to see you here, Grimmy. How you doing? Late night, but gotta grind the draft. It's the weekend anyway. Saints about to pick number 60 here. Let's see what this one is. I think they could go in a number of different directions here. It's probably going to be something way off the greatest area to step up. The little bit I've seen of Werner I thought was interesting. Looks like there is a little bit of 3-down upside with him. So 2 defenders right away for the Saints. Moving on from Drew Brees. And now we get to the championship teams. The teams in the conference championship. Bills, Packers, Chiefs, Bucks are up next. We haven't been talking about Buffalo. They took Gregory Rousseau last night. I thought edge would be one of their top priorities. I think receiver is going to be something they consider. I also, is there a running back here they like enough? Because I think they'll address that at some point. But when I look at their roster, I don't see anything glaring. Maybe they could upgrade over Trubisky at backup quarterback. They did lose John Brown, so I'm kind of thinking receiver right now. I'm thinking like Nico Collins. Ooh, Amari Rodgers still available. I wonder where he goes. I like him a lot. I actually think that Amari Rodgers would be a solid pick for Green Bay, and I hope that doesn't end up going through. Oh, Kirilloff just hit a 3-run homer. Let's go. He's been smoking the ball all season, hitting some of the most impressive outs out of Panthers fan here. Like the pick so far, but there is a need at left tackle. Anyone intrigue you in round 3 who could start in a year or two's time? Noah, I think that the ship has almost sailed, but not totally. I think Brady Christensen's probably the most intriguing tackle available, and I think there's a fair chance he's there. I could see him ending up there. And if that happens and you can wait it out and come away with him, I think you're pretty happy. I appreciate the super chat very much, Noah. All right, Bill's pick is in. Wow, the Ravens exercised the 5th-year option on Lamar Jackson. Who knew? Think the Vikings will land Humphrey? I don't see them doing it unless they want to play him at guard. I think they want to stick with Bradbury to the end. Wow, and the pick behind us, the Chiefs just took Tony. I'm glad that didn't happen. Debo may go to Buffalo. I saw somebody predict that earlier today. The Bills pick is in. Carlos Basham Jr. Okay, they've taken 2 edge rushers. Doubling up. 6'3", 274 pounds. Boogie Basham out of Wake Forest. I don't think it's a totally strange deal for them. I mean, they have Jerry Hughes, who I feel like he's played for 2 decades at this point, and not a whole lot else at edge going for them. So doubling up to me makes a lot of sense. It's a high value position, so going 1st and 2nd round edge with a roster that solid, I think makes complete sense. And you consider the value here. I don't think the value is really here right now at running back. It's running out at wide receiver. So I like this start for the Bills. What team should I do in Madden 21? What kind of challenge are you looking for? Give me a couple things that will keep you playing the game throughout the summer, and I'll recommend you a team. Oh, they took a pass rusher called Boogie. Great pick by the Bills, automatic Hall of Fame player. That's right. Packers pick is in awful quick. You got to think this could be Creed Humphrey replacing Corey Linsley, right? It's almost too easy. Getting close to Minnesota finally. I'm excited. Rashawn Gary is announcing the pick. The Green Bay Packers have selected waiting for it, waiting. Please don't be Creed Humphrey, be something weird. Josh Myers, center, Ohio State. Creed Humphrey might go third round. So they are replacing Corey Linsley, just not with the expected player. I don't know much about Josh Myers, so I can't really compare him to Humphrey, but this just wasn't expected is all. I think the Packers rank players differently at positions, a lot differently than a lot of teams would. Kyle Trask went to the Cowboys behind us. KC taking Creed? Someone's got to do it. But we got KC on the clock now for the second time. And just a few minutes ago, we saw the Chiefs take Nick Bolton. So, again, I'm wondering if it's somebody like Nico Collins. You know, it'll be a fun pick here. I don't think it happens. What about like Tommy Tremble? Get like your Anthony Sherman replacement. Bring in the fullback, H-back hybrid. Oh yeah, I forgot they had Jordan Ta'amu. What's Kansas City going to do here? I could also potentially see a corner. They like Daniel Sorensen, so I don't know if they go safety. All right, Roger, what do you got? The Chiefs have selected Creed Humphrey. The wait is over. Wow. They probably didn't expect this. The Chiefs get Creed Humphrey, and we have one more pick in the second round. KC is stacking that O-line. They really are. Kyle Long came out of retirement this year to go to Kansas City. They obviously made the Orlando Brown trade happen. So they're turning around to Put some serious investment in the O-line. Still see that they might be starting Mike Remmers, though, and that is just not recommended. I mean, the last 2 Super Bowls he's played in are all you need to know. Minnesota with 4 threes and 4 fours. Haven't moved up. The Buccaneers just took Kyle Trask. I love the pick for them. At least it's a guy to learn behind Brady. Who knows if he becomes anything. You hope that Brady plays a couple more years anyway, and it doesn't matter. But it's an upgrade at backup quarterback. All right. Kyle Trask to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So 1 quarterback does make it into the 2nd round. I'm really hoping that Minnesota stayed put and ends up taking a quarterback if, like, Mond is there. You got to have somebody to say, Cousins, if you're messing around again, if you're bad Kirk for 6 weeks, we got a guy we will play. Sean Mannion was not there to ever threaten to play at any point in time. You need someone there that's like at least a chance of becoming a starter. So Kyle Trask off the board. 6th quarterback selected. Minnesota almost on the clock. Jacksonville's on the clock right now. Amari Rodgers still available? Yeah, one of my favorite playmakers on the board. I'm surprised at some of the receivers that went over him, but all the guys that can burn went over him. I don't think Rodgers has the speed of the other guys. But I think that Rodgers, if you just want a guy to step in and catch, 50 balls from the slot, get some yards after the catch, go like 50 for 725 and 4 scores, I mean, I think he's that kind of guy. That's a good story about Remmers. Teams just keep letting him give chances at tackle too. I'm trying to do a team with a young quarterback and a tough team to build around. I'm sorry I didn't see your comment earlier. I'm sure you sent that multiple times and I didn't see it. So a younger quarterback that's tough to build around. So if you're doing like updated rosters here, what about Philadelphia? Because I think that there would be some work to do to turn Hurts into your starting quarterback long term. It can happen. It's a matter of if. And I think that with Philadelphia, there's a chance to do a lot of playmaking there with some of the veterans they have on that team they'll be moving on from in the near future. So that's an interesting situation, I think, to take over. So I would recommend Philadelphia. Oh, and a couple people in the chat just did too. I think Eagles are your team. No problem, JJ. Vikings on the clock yet? All right, Minnesota's on the clock. I'm not letting anything get spoiled here. And after Minnesota makes their first pick, I am going to call it a night. It's been a few hours, and I am starting to get really hungry. And Minnesota never traded up to make it interesting. So they stand pat, 4 3s, 4 4s. Trader Rick getting all of his picks. What do they do now after selecting Christian Darrisaw? Minnesota Vikings are currently on the clock with 3:07 left to go. The Jaguars are about to have their pick announced, but the Buccaneers still don't have theirs announced. So the draft eventually falls behind, and they haven't done a great job of that to stay quick with it. So as I look at how everything's fallen to this point, who do I want right here for Minnesota? I'm really cool with one of the top guards here. If you want to go with either Trey Smith or keep forgetting his name, Wyatt Davis. I'm open to a lot here though, because they already took Darrisaw. I'm open to one of the guards. I'm open to Kellen Mond. I'm open to Jamar Johnson at safety, especially after that game he played against Justin Fields and Ohio State. So we'll see here. I might just watch Twitter because that's being slow. Vikings are getting Kellen Mond. All right. I wanted a legit backup quarterback. Let's go. Okay, I'm cool with that. You have 4 3s, 4 4s. Definitely. I am very cool with Kellen Mond. I am not mad at that. At least you're taking a chance here on a guy with some upside. Trasker Mond was my preference, so they take the guy who's still there. And they had the guts to take the quarterback when they haven't taken the backup quarterback seriously since they added Kirk Cousins. They just, hoped he wouldn't get hurt and got a guy to hold the clipboard. So I like it. I know I've watched a couple games before of Kellen Mond. I know that his play is kind of all over the place at times, but if there's a guy worth taking a chance on day 2, I'm very, very cool with this. I'm going to have to get to know a little bit more about him, hopefully. I wouldn't count on the Vikings, though, utilizing him in, special packages, the Taysom Hill role or the Jalen Hurts role before he became the starter. I'm not counting on them to do that. I think that's a step too far for Minnesota and the way they do things. But a quarterback to at least develop as your second pick, this tells Kirk Cousins, you better be good Kirk for a whole season for the first time in your life. Because we've seen good Kirk for stretches. I like good Kirk. But bad Kirk always shows up, uninvited. All right, everybody, that is going to do it for me tonight. Vikings should have taken Cordell Hillhouse. That would have solved all their problems. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me. 3 hours of draft, hangout. Hope you had a good time. I definitely did. Going to call it a night, get some food, and watch the rest of the Vikings picks. So I thank you very much. I'm sure I'll be talking about the draft again on the channel soon. Maybe I'll stream on Sunday or something after everything's kind of happened. But that is it for me. And my attention will now start to shift to what's going to happen on MLB The Show 21. Very excited to get something new on the channel, and that's going to be hopefully happening later this week. Appreciate the support, everybody, the super chats, the new members, and just hanging out with me. But I'll catch you all in the next one. Have a great rest of the draft, everybody.